Hello, welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. All right, you guys, we're going to do another champion, RiseToWar. We're going to do Arwen today. So, and again, we have Jethros here with us. So everyone say hello, Jethros.
Hi again,
All right.
guys.
All right, so we are going to look at Arwen. I do not have Arwen. He does have Arwen. So I'm going to have to do the trait tree through this and her stats. So do you want to start with what her stats specialize in, Jethros?
Yeah, Arwen is also heavily based, in addition to Gandalf, very based on focus and focus healing based off of focus, and a little bit of damage based off of focus. I would say she does a little bit more damage than someone like Gandalf, who is more meant for damage mitigation with his focus scaling, whereas she can do bigger heals with her focus scaling, and she could do more focus damage as well.
Yeah, and that's probably comes into play because she's a tier 2. Well, I guess so is Gandalf, but
Gandalf is as well.
She seems harder to get than Gandalf. I don't know. Maybe that's just because of the way they did it at the beginning.
Yeah, you had a lot of access to events and things that got Gandalf.
Yeah, the Gandalf one with
and also she seems harder to get because a lot of people picked Legolas over her because they directly compete for respect items.
The leaf things, the mallard leaves, I think they're called. But yeah, now I gotta look. And now I'm like, wait a second, what are they called? The Malin tree.
Malern leaf.
Yeah, Malorn. I guess I was right that one first time. All right, so let us talk about unit composition. What do you usually like to do for units?
So what I do with units depends on which build I go with Arwen. There's really two main builds.
So maybe tell us, and I'll click on the item things. Will you?
Yeah. So the two main builds are the healing heavy build, the resistance build, and then there's the more unit damage build that's really good with her as well. So I'd say if you have access to men troops, you probably want to do the unit-based build, and then if you have access to a mixture of troops and you just want her to be useful no matter what faction you are, maybe starting out in early, the beginning of the season, you'd want to definitely go more for the healing build instead.
Undomiel? Right?
Yeah, so that would be Undomiel. And this one would be, maybe you just have two. You have a front line, tanky front line, ranged back line, kind of similar to what we recommend with Gandalf. Being able to have the front line and the back line being able to guarantee heals on those two units is really good because all these heals here in this skill tree and this title, they all only target 2 allied units.
So the cleansing touch also is 2 allies only. Covers AP, also modified by focus, which is great. And then Elven Blessing, 2 allies, recovers also focus, so that's why focus is so important. And then you go Lady of the River then, right? If you're tier 1 with her?
If you're tier 1, yeah, then you just get some points in Lady of Rivendell.
And that's her damage one, right?
Yeah, okay. And I would say as far as getting more damage out of this tree, you would probably max Surge before you max River's Wraith.
Okay, good thing to know. All right.
Yeah, because it starts out at 57.1%, but then it doesn't go up to 100 after one more point. You have to get it to 7 out of 7 for it to go up to 100.
Got it. It doesn't do it the double up like the other ones do.
Double it instantly. But then Surge though it hits 2 different times and it does double. It adds another 21.4 or whatever every point.
Yeah,
so that can get some really high damage.
Pretty powerful. All right. So then what was your recommended when you were saying if you were full respect? So you do the Undomiel, the healing one.
Yeah, so you would do Undomiel and you would do Queen of the Reunited Kingdom, and you would basically max out both of these titles.
And then you do the top one, Nobility for Men Defense.
And
Party
so you could go for men damage if you have men units, but if you didn't, you would just do 15 in Queen of the Reunited Kingdom, 10 in Parting Gift, and then I would dip a tiny bit into the Lady of Rivendell and try to get that River's Wraith for a chance to stun all units on that turn that it goes off, and then the rest into Surge. Potentially.
Oh, Lady of Rivendell is... Where's Lady of Rivendell? Oh, the main one up there, yeah.
The first one we were talking about.
I'm trying to find which one to click. And then the one, the bottom right, Parting Gift, what it does is it's covered, but round 8, all allied units, so you could have 2 or 3 units or 1 unit, recover a massive amount of HP for those last 2 rounds, right?
Yeah,
or for
at
round
7
8.
out of 7, I can tell you guys right now, it's 380% HP, which is a huge amount.
That's crazy.
I've seen it heal. If you have 3 units, I've seen it heal about 60,000 in one turn. So it does like 20,000 roughly on different units if you have a decent amount of focus too, because it is modified by focus.
Wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
She's really great for PvP because of that skill. Because if you make it to the end of that 8th round when that triggers, then you're basically gonna get a good heal to make it so that your losses are just mitigated really a ton, and that makes it really nice.
Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you definitely, for long fight, that is like you win, because you basically are healing as much as Gandalf does. like in one ability, not counting her other heals. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So that's a really great build, that healing, and then the Queen of the Reunited Kingdom basically makes it so that the first few instances of damage, there's a huge damage reduction, and each time you get hit, it drops a little bit until it goes out. But it really does a lot of like early like damage mitigation, so you get a really good head start on the enemy where you should be up in units, but because you're not taking nearly as much damage. But moving on from that version, there is like a really good men build that I recommend with her. So I mentioned, that nobility, I wouldn't always take that because you're not always going to have men in your composition. Maybe if you do, you might choose to do that if you have 2 men. But most people would probably switch it up a little bit. But when you do have access to men, there is a good build with you just maxing out Queen of the Reunited Kingdom and then the half Elven tree.
Okay.
So that's the title half Elven, and not for that specifically, even though it's great to get plus 30% might or focus, that's always going to be a very meaningful amount of increase. Boon is huge. At 7 points, you're getting an extra 20% either physical damage reduction or physical damage increase from your unit. So you're either increasing how much damage your units do or decreasing how much physical damage they take. It doesn't matter which one you get. It's basically like a 20% advantage from the main source of damage that most things do.
Yeah.
So that's really great. And then you also have Coalition, which is really good because it has a chance for those men units that you pick to have the maximum damage. So every unit has a range of damage they can do. Let's say it says like 16 to 25. I think that's an example of the sharpshooters, the men units that are sharpshooters. It would make a 75% chance that it's hitting the 25 damage and not 15. Exactly.
Yeah, that's really
good. So that's really good for men in general because men do have a pretty decent spread of damage. But a lot of the elves don't seem like they have that much. But honestly, even the Bone Knights, which are a really common range unit people like to use, have like about a 5 damage spread. So it's still nice to get that extra little boost to that if you had Bone Knights or something. But I wouldn't really recommend going into this unless you're doing a more men-based thing. So my army composition for that is basically tower, guard of the tower, and Dunedain, and then in the back have the sharpshooters.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and so like
3 then too, right? So
yeah, I do with this build because Queen of the Reunited Kingdom affects all units, and nothing else.
So does
affects,
Boon.
Yeah, Boon affects all units. Parting Gift affects all units. So they're not limiting you like with Undamiel. It specifically says only 2 of them. So you would have a 3rd unit that's not getting the benefit.
I see how that's a clean, very clean setup. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that's a really good build too. Actually, I've personally found that to be more effective if your gear is more focused on unit damage. If your gear is more focused on like boosting focus but not really giving too much unit damage, then I would maybe go more for the healing end of things and just use her like a really solid like healing tank that doesn't really lose very many units.
Cool. Well, that's what we have here, Jethros. That was very, very in depth. That was good. I actually learned some stuff I didn't know too, so that's really cool. So thank you. And is there anything else you want to add for this hero, or should we do another one?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like the gear is gonna affect what you pick for the tree, and the units you have access to is gonna affect So with the new season coming up, I really recommend you think about like what you're going to have access to early to kind of inform what decisions you make with like putting her skills while you level her.
Yeah, definitely think about what armor you actually want to upgrade, right? Like that was a big thing that halfway through the season I was like, I really got to think about which ones I upgrade because it really makes a difference. So anyway, all right, well, I'll finish it up. So thanks for joining us, guys. Another episode of Voice of the Rings, Rise to War. We did Arwen, and don't forget to click that subscribe button to pop up there. Next episode for this will be in the top left, and we'll have Lothar Tail over there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.